Good afternoon, everyone. You are tuning in to another episode of Dan the Man Talks Real Estate. I am your host, Dan the Man, and joined by my beautiful producer lady, Nicole, behind the scenes, making this all possible for y'all. Not yet. Everybody's not laughing at me yet, but they will. You guys will. Don't worry. Today's episode, we're going to talk about for sale by owners and how to prospect for them, I should say. And when you do get them on the phone, just some good questions to ask them when you finally engage and get them on the phone, because believe me, they're going to be bombarded by real estate agents and brokers every day because they are selling the property themselves. So we'll go over that. We're going to go over a follow-up call to them as well. So let's say you get them on the phone and, a lot of times the conversion rate for getting a for sale by owner on the phone the first time is very low. I don't know, maybe 10, 15%. So then what we'll do is we do a follow-up call to them. However, you're going to set that up. And I'll go over a follow-up call with you too. So, and again, we prospect these every day. And it's just another lead source for you. So you have your expired, your for sale by owners, just listed, just solds. You get some third-party referrals coming into you. We're noticing that those are taking a much, much higher referral fee now that things have changed in the market. You also have your past client center of influence, and if you have other lead sources, you're going to be prospecting those as well. But today, for sale by owners. So, you're in your morning routine and you're calling and you're getting into your calling and you get ready. I have a routine where I just do like a 5-minute where I just kind of center myself and just let's all real good, thoughts of gratitude and gratefulness, things of that nature just kind of follow into me. And then once I'm done with that, it is like I'll throw on some, I have a workout regimen that I do in the gym in the morning. And so sometimes I'll play a couple of those songs to get me like revved up to kind of get on the phones, because we all know that for those agents out there that prospect every day, these people are getting, these sellers are getting, a lot of phone calls. So the likelihood that they're going to tell you to F off, stop calling, I'm not listing, those kinds of things are very high. So you just got to have rubber skin and let that stuff bounce right off you. So we're going to call for sale by owner, and we get them on the phone, and, they say, hello, and you're going to introduce yourself. So here's how a for sale by owner, a good script as far as questions, asking the right questions. Again, remember, this is about them. Now, before I get started, normally, anytime these sellers are getting an agent on the phone, there's a tendency to make them wrong for trying to sell it on their own. We're not going to come from that place, okay? So a seller is not wrong for trying to sell a property on their own, okay? It's not the best route to go because it generally will cost them money in the long run. It always does, really, if they do it on their own, because they're not the property is not getting in front of 100% of the buying public. So because of that, you are limiting your exposure to the market, and because of that, now you're not going to be getting all of the showings, all of the offers that you could if you listed the property with an agent or broker like myself or somebody else. But I would say like me, because we're like no other at the Elite Builders. So most agents are going to come at a seller with that perspective in mind. You're wrong for doing it, and here's why, and I can do it better, and all these kinds of things. And again, it's rancid information to a seller. You've immediately put them on the defensive, and because of that, your response rate from them is going to be very low, and your conversion rate is going to be very low. So we're going to come at it from a different way. We are going to come at, and I shouldn't even say come at, we're going to develop a relationship with a seller from a place of contribution. And trying to find out why they're doing what they're doing, because they are just like every other seller. There is a motivation involved in why they're doing what they're doing. We are going to figure out why. Okay, so we make the phone call, and so here we go. Ring, ring. Seller says, hello. Hi, I was calling about the property that was for sale on Main Street. Did I happen to reach the owner? They'll say, yes. Who is this? Is this an agent? Which is usually what they'll ask. Hi, yes, is this an agent? And you can answer, yeah, this is actually, yes, my name is Daniel. I am with eXp Realty. Just noticed the property on Main Street came on the market as a for sale by owner. Just was curious if somebody like myself had a qualified buyer, are you willing to compensate them? And their response is yes. Okay, great. And if you don't mind me asking, what would that be? And usually it's 2%, 2.5%, 3%. And your immediate response is, wow, that's great. Thank you. That's very generous of you. Affirming. Okay. Then, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we help a lot of for sale by owners when they sell their property to purchase another one. Just was curious, when you do get this one sold, where were you thinking of going next? Are you thinking of staying local here in wherever you are, or are you moving out of the area? Now they're going to tell you their motivation. And it's, yeah, we're looking to move to, down the south. We're going to go to Charlotte. Wow. Immediate response. Tell me about that. Those 4 words should come after any time you find out someone's motivation. Tell me about that. So they say, yeah, we're going to be moving to Charlotte. Wow, that's great. Tell me about that. What's bringing you down there? Do you have family? Is it a job relocation? Now they'll get into a little deeper. Yeah, I have family down there. We're looking to retire, and my spouse and I are looking to retire, and we have family down in Charlotte. Excellent. Wow. So it sounds like you probably have been there. Is it mom and dad, or is it maybe family relatives, things of that nature? Yeah, it's our mom and dad. They've all lived down there. The kids, we want the kids near them. As the kids grow up, and our parents, they start to get older. So. Oh, wow, awesome. Is there anything else that's bringing you down there? This episode is brought to you by the Elite Builders. It's brokered by eXp Realty. I've spoken a lot about Elite Builders and the value stack that you get just by partnering with us. There's tons and tons of value here. But again, aside from the financial value, which we'll get into in a minute, becoming an elite builder, really, you're going to basically change your life in every facet: physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and financially. What do I mean by that? You're going to be in proximity to people that operate on a high level, high character, high integrity. We're creators, and what do we want to create? We really want to create leaders and inspire you and others to be the best versions of yourself, highest version of yourself that you can be. And when you do that, you're now operating at a high level, and you're going to then inspire others to do their best. And then when you want to talk about it from a financial perspective, as far as if you're an agent or a broker, the value stack that you get free group coaching. All right, so let's go through them. Group coaching, it's a $3,000 value. You have role play groups that I run 2 of them, 7:30 and 11:30, where you learn scripts on what to say, how to say it, and how to say it with confidence so you can help serve your clients to the absolute highest level. That's a $1,000 value. There's an exclusive ladies mastermind group. Okay, that's a $3,000 value. Very, very high these women are operating at such a high level, and they have their own exclusive mastermind. Awesome women in there. That's a $3,000 value. The scripts and the courses themselves that you get, expired, for sell by owner, just listed, just solds, pre-qualification, listing presentation, objections, all of it. You get that and the courses that are online in like 40 different languages. That's a $1,000 value. The systems training, the CRM training that you get, the systems training itself is a $2,000 value. So we train you on how to put systems in place so you're operating your business at the highest level possible. So we have that. The CRM training, which is basically your database. We teach you how to put all of your clients into a database, and then it serves you and feeds you as far as contacting them, how often, and how to serve them. It's so it's basically where you're housing your whole business. That's $1,000 value, and then the events and the webinars that we have, another $1,000 value. Like, you're looking at over $10,000 in value that other agents that aren't partnered with EXP pay. And when you do partner with us, these are all free. They're literally all free. So if this is of interest to you, just reach out to me. Again, you can subscribe to the channel, Dan the Man Talks Real Estate. I'll send you more information about it, or you can reach out to me on the other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook at Daniel Masrobian, and we'll send you all the information you need to get you started on, again, just building your life and partnering with us to be literally the best version of yourself that you can be. Well, we really just love the area. It's much less expensive than New Jersey. Yeah, believe me, I understand that, Mr. and Mrs. Zeller. I'm running into a lot of people that are moving out of the area, moving down to Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, all those areas there where taxes are much, much less. So, yeah, that's awesome. And, congratulations on that. Is there anything else that's bringing you down there? Keep asking that question. They'll eventually tell you no. And if they say, okay, no, that's it, perfect. Yeah, so in terms of time frame, because that's obviously what's most important here, how soon you're looking to make that transaction, or transition, I should say, happen. And they'll usually say, well, whenever we sell this house, we're not in any rush. Nobody's ever in a rush to sell a home. So, yeah, totally understand that. Great. So, it sounds like once you get the offer that's reasonable and acceptable to you, you'll be able to make the move and get down there. Yeah, okay. So I did notice a listing online, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Is there anything else that you're doing to really aggressively market the property other than have it online? And usually you'll get, we have a sign out front, or, we have it on Zillow, places like that. And, we put it on Craigslist. And so, okay. So it sounds like you got it, you have it out there for some of the buyers to see. I noticed an asking price of $800,000. Is that current, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, or has that changed? No, it's current. Okay, great. If you don't mind me asking, how did you determine that price? Well, we've seen what our neighbors have sold for. The house right down the block, smaller than ours, sold for $750. So we figured 800 was a good number. So we know what's going on in our marketplace. We've lived here for, over 12 years. So we know what's happening. Perfect. Got it. So are you prepared, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, to adjust your price down when you're working with a buyer? And they will usually say, within reason. Like, look, Dan, we're not looking to give the home away here. So, very within moderation. Okay. Totally understand that. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm curious. Is there any other reason you decided, or is there any reason, I should say, is there any reason you decided to sell it on your own rather than just list it with a professional like myself? And here's where the commission usually comes in. Yes, we just didn't want to pay. We don't want to pay the commission. We don't need to pay the commission. We've sold a home, ourselves before. It's like, okay, totally understand that. Listen, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you strike me as someone who's, you're very savvy. You understand what's going on. You've obviously done this before. So look, the question isn't whether you can or can't sell the property. That's not the question here. The real question is, if you knew that having someone like myself just really help you with the increased exposure that someone like me can give you, as opposed to just having it on Zillow and, with the sign out in front, you'll be able to have just that increased exposure to be able to get 100% of those buyers looking at your home instead of that small population that's only on Zillow. If you knew that having someone like me take care of that, instead of having all of these agents call you, because I imagine you're getting a lot of brokers calling you, right? Yes, that's only who calls me. Yeah. So if we can make that stop, and instead of dealing with these brokers, you could have buyers walking through your home, making offers on this beautiful home. And we know what happens when multiple buyers, compete for your property, right? Your sale price is going to go up, right? Well, yeah. Yeah. So if you knew that something like that was possible, do you think it might be worth 5 or 10 minutes of your time? Well, we're not really looking to sell to list with an agent right now. We really just want to give it a shot on our own. Totally understand that. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm hearing a couple things very clearly from what you've been kind enough to share with me. Number one is you definitely want to sell the property because you want to get down to Charlotte. And, if you had some information as far as, market and, how we can bring in 100% of those buyers to take a look at the home and actually make offers on it. If you knew something like that was possible, you wouldn't be opposed to, hearing about it. So with that said, may I make a suggestion? Yes. And now you close. Would love to simply just pop by, see what the home has to offer in person. And while I'm there, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we can discuss two things very clearly. Number one is the increased marketing and exposure this beautiful home needs to get out in front of 100% of those buyers, to get them in here to make offers for you. And then number two is your net bottom line, what you can realistically expect to receive when we're all at the closing tables and we're signing papers to close. And then whether it's now or later, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, could be me, maybe even someone else. At least you've met with a top agent in your area. You will have all the information you need to make the best decision you can for yourself and your family. Does that sound fair to you? Now, sometimes they'll say yes. Sometimes they'll say, well, we want to think about it. Well, we're not ready to list with an agent yet. Or we're not ready to meet with anybody yet. That's usually what you're going to get. Now, you can follow that up with, totally understand that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. We get that. If you knew that by waiting could actually cost you more money in the long run, considering we know in this marketplace there is a lot of downward pressure going on with external factors such as your interest rate market, inflation, and recession. Knowing that that's creating a lot of downward pressure, the longer this property doesn't sell, it could cost you more in the long run. If you knew that was true, and that's happening, would that change your decision to at least sit down with a top agent in your area and go over all of this information to just ensure that you're not leaving any money on the table moving forward? And that is a strong close. Usually, you know what? We'd be open to that. Perfect. Under optimal conditions, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are you generally available in the evenings or afternoons better for you? Evenings. Okay, great. So would Thursday at 5 or would Friday at 4 work better for you? Friday at 4. Perfect. Now, before we come out, just want to make sure that we're able to serve you as best we can. Have a few quick questions to ask to make sure that when we do get there, we have all the information we need and I can arm you with it so you can make the best decision possible. Okay? Perfect. And then you go into your pre-qual. So that is an initial for sale by owner call where they actually agree and want to actually meet with you on the first call. Again, usually that doesn't happen. They will put you off because, again, remember, there's very few, if any, buyers calling them. It is all agents and brokers calling them. Because, again, you can compare this to, if you break your arm, are you going to go to a doctor who's done one surgery or are you going to go to a doctor who's done 500? Naturally, 500. Your average a homeowner doesn't know, they've only sold 0 homes. This will be their first. So there's just people that can do it in a more efficient and profitable manner. That's us, real estate agents. And when we show them that they will more than make up for the other side of the professional fee that they will pay to list the property, that's going to be more than taken care of because of the exposure it gets, amount of buyers coming in, then that's when they will be, you're going to communicate that to them on the appointment and list the property. So that is your first phone call to a for sale by owner. So now what we can do is go into a follow-up call. So however you left it with the seller when you spoke to them, they said, listen, we're not listing it. We are going to try and do it ourselves. Call us back in 3 weeks, whatever it is. Whatever they tell you, cut it in half, just so you know. It's a rule of thumb. If they tell you call me back in 2 weeks, call them back in 1. If they tell you call me back, in a month, you call them back in 2 weeks. Always a rule of thumb is cut it in half, whatever they say. because you know any other agents are going to be calling them too. So you don't want to be left out in the cold. So now you're going to follow up with them and reach out, ring, hello, hi, this is Daniel with eXp Realty. Had the good fortune of speaking with you last week. I'm sure you probably remember. Yeah, hey Daniel. Regarding your property on Main Street, was in your area the other day. Actually, just thought of you both and wanted to follow up and touch base. Have you had any success with getting an offer for your property? Or no, we have a lot of interest. We got people telling us that they're interested in the property. We're having another open house on Sunday, so I think we're gonna have some good results there. Well, good. Have anybody made any offers in writing? No, nothing in writing. Again, they're just verbals. Okay, so nothing tangible. And I was curious because again, I was thinking about you and just looking at some market stats here, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I'm noticing because of the downward pressure we're seeing in the market, inventory is rising in your area. Inventory right now in the Bloomfield area is up 17%. On the flip side of that, closings are actually down almost 20% right now, year over year. So, noticing those, I guess I'd ask, how much more time do you think you're going to take before you consider having, someone like myself, a professional, just get the property on the market to 100% of that buying public and get it sold for you so you can get down to Charlotte? Not ready yet, Daniel. Again, we're not in a rush to sell. Yeah, totally understand that. And I, again, appreciate the opportunity to serve you, and I'll keep that in mind. Again, I guess what I'm aware of is that, with the marketplace changing and, time is really important. It's imperative. And again, knowing that downward pressure with, almost double-digit inflation, the interest rate market doubling, and, the recession, looming with the increase that we're seeing in the inventory, let me ask it this way. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you had an offer that was reasonable to you and acceptable in, say, the next 30 to 45 days, would allow you to accomplish what you want, more than, make up for the professional fee that would be, in there as well. Just somebody overseeing things like myself, instead of having you do that and you handling it, we can do that. I would imagine that if that scenario was possible, that'd be something you'd consider, right? Not looking to sign with anybody, Daniel, or they'll say we're not ready, or, we'll give it 2% out to the buyer. Yeah, again, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, super appreciative of that. And really, again, so it sounds like all we're talking about is, you're trying to save the additional, 2.5%, or 3%, that it would cost to hire someone like myself. Is that right? Yes, basically, or let's just say yes. Yeah. And so let me ask it this way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, which is more important to you at this stage of the game? To sell it on your own, or just get it sold for the absolute most amount of money possible that you can? And usually they'll say both. And that's where I will kind of chuckle. You can always kind of chuckle a little bit, because they'll laugh. They'll say like, well, we'd love to get both, ideally. Or they'll say not the most money. Usually it's not the most money, but sometimes they'll laugh and say, well, we want both. And you can be, yeah, absolutely. I respect that, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if that's possible. At the same time, again, with, only, we have an increase of 70% in inventory and closings decreasing 20% year over year, the probability, is it possible? Yes. Absolutely. Is it probable for that? Probably not. So with that said, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, may I make a suggestion? Yes. Based on what you've been kind enough to share with me, I'm hearing a couple things very clearly. Number one is, if you had an offer that was reasonable and acceptable to you in the next 30, 45 days, you would accept it and move on to get the property sold. And number two, if there was a way for you to recover the listing portion of the professional fee, that you wouldn't be opposed to that, to listing with someone like myself. So what I'd like to do is this. And again, I don't mind because I'm in your area all the time. Love to simply pop by, see what the home has to offer in person. While I'm there, we will discuss two things very clearly. Number one is how to get you more showings and make those verbal offers written offers in writing, getting those buyers to compete with each other, getting the most amount they're willing to pay. Number two, the second thing I'll show you is with the increased, I should say, aggressive, proactive marketing that we're going to be doing for you, getting your property in front of 100% of that buying public, which again will cause those buyers to compete with each other because now more of them will see the property, more of them will make offers. And then usually what we'll see is the most amount the buyers want to pay come to the surface. That net bottom line that's going to be in your pocket, I will show you that. We'll go over that together as a team. And then again, whether it's now or later, whether it's me or even someone else, at least now you have all the information you need from a top agent in your area. You can make the best decision you can for yourself and your family. Does that sound fair to you? And if they say yes, close for the appointment. So that is a second phone call. And again, what you have not done at all in that phone call is kind of make them wrong for trying to sell it on their own. You are just showing them a better but more profitable way for them to sell the property. Because again, your average person just doesn't know and understand that by trying to do it themselves, they're limiting the exposure that they're getting for their property, especially if it's a great, property's in good shape, great location, and that it would sell relatively easily. Now getting 100% of that buying public in there is paramount because the property shows well and is in a great location and will trade at a high number. But again, the average, seller who thinks they can do it on their own, they can. It's not that they can't. They can do it on their own. It's just not the best and most profitable way to do it. So that is your second phone call on a for sale by owner. Use those questions because, again, this is a question-based script. And when you have these questions kind of, engraved in you and they're a part of you, they just naturally will come off of your tongue when you're talking to them. And again, none of this is combative. None of this is you're wrong and I'm right. None of this is I can do this and I can I. It's none of that. It's just you're asking questions to help them get what they want, which is a sold home at the highest number possible, which gets them down to their next destination. For this family, it's Charlotte, to be with their parents. That's the goal here. And then what happens when they know somebody, their family, friend, colleague, relative, whatever, needs to sell their property? They are going to you because you have served them at the highest level. Not by making them wrong, but by asking the right questions to get them to understand and see that listing it themselves, they're not wrong for doing it. There's just a better and more profitable way for them to do it so they net the most and get on to their next destination. So we're going to do the book review for this episode, and I just started reading this. I'm not too deep into it, but it is a phenomenal read. It is the best ever apartment syndication book. So I'm looking to get into like crowdfunding for apartment buildings because I'm going to get into buying apartment buildings. And I was given this book recommended this book by a gentleman named Robert Martinez, who is like I forgot what his Instagram handle is. It's the apartment junkie or the apartment something. He owns the most units, I think, in the United States. Like, he's that big. And he was for the Elite Builders, he was on a prospecting session we do every month on the first of the month. And we do a Zoom. All agents can jump in. And, if you want to get involved with Elite Builders, we explain to you how you can do that. And but if you just want to prospect, you can do that as well. And, you're in proximity now, just by being in the prospected group to this guy, Robert Martinez. And he was there and recommended this book. So this is, again, the best ever apartment syndication book. So if you want to learn how to, and I'm going to put this guy right there. If you want to learn, my producer lady, tell me, Nicole, where I can hide that. Where can I put that? I'm going to put it like here. How about that? Yeah, let's do that. That's cool. So I'm going to put it here. If you're interested in getting into apartment buildings, big multifamily complexes, things of that nature, and you want to get a who's who and a how-to on how to get started, this is the Bible for it, from what I'm told. Again, a little bit into it, and it's blowing my mind how you don't need a ton of money to get involved and started with buying apartment buildings. So if you're an agent or a broker and you can bring a deal to other people, you can also be involved in the deal itself. So you might have, minimal money, but you have something to offer the deal itself. You also have your knowledge of bringing the deal to it. So you're now, you're the broker of it, really. So you're bringing people together to buy a piece of property, and you can get your portion of it as well. So you can get equity and the cash flow from the apartments. So again, I'm getting involved in this, and this is the book that I was told by Robert Martinez. You can look him up on Instagram and all these other places. He was just talking to Ryan Pineda, who's like the biggest social media guy out there, about, and Ryan was saying how you don't need a lot of money to get started with these things. So I hope this provides value to you if you're interested and thinking about getting into crowdfunding for apartment buildings. If you found a deal and you want to buy it and you don't know how to raise the money for it, and the formulas to figure out if it's a good deal or not, this is the book for it. The Best Ever Apartment Syndication Book by Joe Fairless. Boom. All right. It's time you've all been waiting for, the Danism of the day. I know my producer Nicole was waiting for it. She always is. I know you're waiting for my Danism of the day. This is a good one. Because I was reading this book. This is a book this isn't the book of the week, but it's called The Compound Effect. I might actually make this another book to recommend. It's a great book on how life compounds, how everything compounds, and how to keep the momentum of compounding. So, but there was a passage in here because he's not even alive anymore, but I know I've spoken about him a lot. Jim Rohn is just someone who's taught me basically everything, close to everything that I have come to believe to be true about success and being an individual, who you are, who you become, and the journey to get to this better person that you're looking to be. Just listening to him, I mean, I would highly recommend just Google old Jim Rohn clips. He's just one of the most enlightened men that I've had the pleasure of and the gratitude to hear. He said in this book, so Darren quotes Jim Rohn, and this passage is really how I try to live. If you want to have more, you have to become more. Success isn't something you pursue. What you pursue is going to elude you. It's like trying to chase butterflies. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And I never knew that prior to hearing Jim Rohn and seeing that in writing and hearing him say it 100 times. My definition of success was financial success, material things, things like that. That was my definition of success. How much money do you have, and what possessions do you have? Because I didn't know. I was very ignorant to understanding what true success is. Then, as you start to get in proximity, thank you, Elite Builders, with the right people that will explain and show you, and Jim Rohn being one of them, that success, again, it isn't something that you attract. You're going to attract it by the person you become. You're not just going to attract material success. You can be a box of rocks with, a devoid of anything healthy and positive on the inside, but a multimillionaire. How many multimillionaires do you know that are unhappy? There's a lot of them. So just understanding and really, that took years for me to figure out, years. I'm still learning that. Because there's days when I'm seeing, it's like going to the gym. You see somebody that's bigger than you and in better shape than you, but then you also see people that you're in better shape than them, and you're bigger than them, or you're, whatever your goal in the gym is, you're farther along than them. So it's the same thing. Just be an individual to who you are and your success to who you are. And you're not looking at anything external. Everything you're looking at is internal. So that's a powerful passage. The more you become, the more successful you will be. And because you're now growing on the inside. So great passage. And I'll even recommend the book. Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect. Phenomenal book on compounding and how to keep momentum going. All right, that's the show for today, everybody. And as always, look, the best way that you can support the show and this podcast is simply just by subscribing. If you feel that the show brings you value, feel that I bring you value, the points and the subjects that I talk about, prospecting and value and, some spirituality and investing and scripting as far as how to interact with sellers. If you just find that this information and how I come about it from the perspectives that I do, which usually are a very spiritual perspective and a very from a perspective of gratitude and character and integrity, if those ring true with you and you're really, you're finding that there's a lot of value here, that's all I ask is, just give a subscribe to the channel. And if you're looking to continue your education on real estate and just really strengthening your mindset, getting the discipline that's needed to get up early every day, exercise, center yourself, or meditation, however you want to call it, getting into a morning routine of prospecting, lead follow-up, going on appointments and negotiating deals, PLAN, getting into those if you're an agent. And if that's something that you're looking to do, just click the subscribe button. Comment on the videos that you have seen and that I have put out already, because, and let me know what you would like to hear more of. And also, if you think that this would be beneficial for somebody else to get them along on their journey, send it over to them, share it with them. Because really, that's what I'm here for. Y'all, I'm here for you guys. Share it with somebody that you feel you'd like to see get farther along on their journey. So that's at Dan the Man Talks Real Estate. On Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, it is at Daniel Mesrobian. And reach out and message me. Would love to hear from you and tell me what you think. Thank you much. So, hey, until next time, y'all, be well and love your life. Bye.